introduction. So for those young who first time join us, this is a series of entrepreneurship topics, which some of it, the snippets will be used for video content for online referrals. And the topic shared is actually summary of our workshop contents. Different content for different sections, but the same theme. And discussion and Q&A is allowed between main topics. So if I see in chat, if anyone has any questions, you are more than welcome to ask, and I will answer as soon as possible. So this is not just one way. Again, this is live lah. For the one live is two way. So you can ask, and I will answer as soon as I can. But once this is recorded, then it's only left in comments lah. And if you're already here, just join us lah. Maybe you can ask other people that you think might be interested in this talk. Then you can share the link. I think ada the link the link above the browser, so you can share with other people that you think might feel that this is useful for them. Okay. So this is the planned content. So we've covered all these topics sudah from January until July. Unfortunately, August we had some scheduling issues. So this episode is actually delayed. So we'll try to catch up to it lah. In next month maybe we'll do 2, or maybe the month after we'll do 2 just to catch up. But the content is on operations, process flow, and action plan. So what we planned for August is now in September. So apologies for that if anyone was expecting. So we'll just try to catch up. So introduction to myself. If you don't know me, my name is Muhammad Falah Tudun bin Haji Hassan alias Muhammad Hasbullah Bobby. Just call me Bobby. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also an endurance athlete. But I am also am interested in business, IT, and sciences. But above all, I like to share what I know. So in general, I'm also an educator. Now, on the contents of what I'm going to share today is on operations and process flow. Basically, this is from our business plan workshop. And then HSSE management, just the simple ones. It's not too in-depth on HSE. And then strategic planning and action planning. This is from our visioning workshop. And the business model canvas, where there's the operations content of the business model canvas. And finally, the resources where you can find out more from LiveWIRE. Okay, so operations and process flow. Okay, so in general, the in business plan, when you wanna plan your operations, you wanna describe what you do from the beginning to the middle to the end. Then, in some cases in the business, you wanna decide how or when you're gonna be paid, before or after, by cash or by credit. And from here, you can actually look into the costs of running the business. Once you know what you need to do, then you know what you need to have or buy to purchase or pay, and so on. And in general, in the operation strategy, you want to share the events or activities, or in some cases milestones. Okay, so looking at the process flow, this is just a simplified process flow. So it can be either production or service flow. So production is when you're creating something, making something, producing something, and then service is when you're providing a service. So certain businesses are just production, certain businesses are services, and but most businesses are actually a mixture of both. A simple example would be a food stall is in general a production flow. But in a restaurant, it's a mixture of production and service, because they're making the food and also they're servicing their customers. And then in schools, tuition schools, swimming schools, or tutorials, then it's usually a service flow. So looking in depth on the production flow, so we can see in a simple nasi katok business, then it's this 3-step process of buying the items, preparing the items, and then selling the items. Of course, again, just a reminder, this is a simplified view of input, process, output. So we will see later on how the process can actually be more complicated than this. So this is just the simplified view. So again, understanding how the business works. So when you're proposing to someone or explaining to someone, this is the most simplest way that you can explain it. In terms of SOP, standard operating procedures, this might be more in depth than you see here. And usually this is the internal secret of the business or of the organization. So you don't want to have the details in your pitches or your presentation. You just want to give the simple ones. But internally, you might want to give details so that the employees or the management knows that you know what you need to do. So again, this is production law to create something. So you can apply to, let's just say, making cars. You buy the raw materials, the plastics, the metals, then you assemble the car, and then you sell the car. So again, production, creating something. Now, as mentioned, there is also the service flow. So this is when you provide services. So you're not actually selling anything specifically. But again, there could be a hybrid. But let's just look purely at service. So in this example, like a school, or a tuition school, or a swimming school, or a gym, or a personal training. So the service flow in 3 steps is in general getting the customer, providing the service to the customer, and then the end of service with the customer. So the first step, getting the customer, the marketing, and then receiving the customer, and then getting booking or sales, and then the service provided, confirming the booking, providing the services, providing further customer service if they need any extra help, and then finally end of service once they're done, to terminate their contract, to terminate their education or service, and or they can upgrade to the next package or to the next service. And if you want, this is a bit, I think this is cut referrals and testimonials. Apologies for that. I think there's supposed to be testimonials at the end there. So again, at the end, you can actually ask for referrals and testimonials from your current customers, so you can get more customers. So even at the end, you still try to do marketing for your business. So again, this is a simple 3-step service flow. Now, again, different businesses will have different flows. So here's another example of a linear process flow. So this is, in this case, is farming, or planting, or any agricultural process in general is simplified in a linear fashion. But again, it can be complicated in this. Step is land preparation, seed planting. If you need to transplant, and then you take care of it. Once you take care of it, then you can harvest it, and then once you harvest, you can package it for sales and distribution. So step by step. So again, it's just explaining to people, like your employees or the managers or the owners, of how the business will work. So in this case, it's agriculture. Now, complex flow. So this would be a typical fast food restaurant. Again, this is just showing how complex it can be, and I tell you, this is the most simplest complex I can create and show. So on the left side, you can see it's start, okay, and then once a customer comes in, do they want to dine in, or do they want to take away? Or you can even add one delivery if you want. So if they call, or they come in. And then if they dine in, then prepare the tray and utensils. If they take away, you prepare the packing and plastic so that they can take the food away. You prepare the food, and then you receive payment. So as mentioned, in the process flow, you can decide when to receive the payment. So in most cases, fast food restaurants, you receive your order, then you pay. In most restaurants, you order, you receive your food, you finish it, then you pay. So again, depends on your business. Now, moving on to HSSE, or Health, Safety, Security, and Environment. So just a brief note on this, because I covered this in the operations because nowadays HSSE is very important. Previously, it was mostly just focused on oil and gas companies, maybe even in construction. But relatively recently, it has been imposed on other businesses as well, even simple businesses such as restaurants or food stalls or even retail stores. So in some cases, you might have to consider, you don't have to have a full-fledged HSE plan, although in certain businesses, you might be required to have an HSE plan document, a whole document on just HSE. But in general planning or business planning, you just need to be brief and summarize all the HSE requirements. One simple way of outlining the HSE management or HSSE management is using HAMP. In this case, HAMP stands for Hazards, Effects, Management, and Processes. So hazards is identifying the hazards that may come up. Effects is what happens if you don't take care of it, what might happen. Management is how to reduce it, how to mitigate the hazards, the effects. And then the processes, what can you do if it happens, then what are the steps that you need to take. So from here, you can also see the use of the process flow as well. So looking at the process flow, all the things that you need to do in the business, what are the hazards involved? So the first step, even in purchasing something, you want to be careful that you don't want it to be bad goods, expired goods, or it doesn't have any pests, or if it has too much chemicals. So again, looking at the possible potential hazards. And in the food preparation, depending on how it's prepared. So the cuts, the cooking, the fire, the heat, even electricity. And then in sales, this is a different type of hazard or risk. So more on customer care and customer liability. If you do something bad to the customer might take legal action. So that's analyzing the risk through using the process flow. Now we can identify the hazards, effects management and processes using a table. So in this case, you can see in the example of nasi katok. Again, this can be applied on any other business. So identifying hazards of fire, thermal as in heat or cold, cuts from knives and scissors, pests from rats, flies, cockroaches, or any other pests. And you can see the effects, the potential effects if you don't take care of the hazards or reduce the hazards. So on the third column is the management, how you mitigate or reduce the hazards by training, by putting reminders, labels, housekeeping, and so on. And then in terms of processes, in case something does happen, even though you are careful, we can only be careful, but sometimes stuff happens. So what can we do? So in this case, in case of fire, use the fire extinguisher if possible, fire blanket if available, call 995. If there's any injury, then that's why we should have first aid kit. I think every home, every company should have a first aid kit. So at least have bandages and antiseptic. And of course, if it's serious, then call 991. In terms of pests, once there are pests, then we have to eradicate them. So either call the exterminator, or if you can by yourself, just swat them. So again, this is just simplified HSSE planning in your operations. So again, for small businesses, this is actually necessary, but sometimes you don't really take it into consideration. But it's actually quite important. It's often when something bad happens, then we do something about it. But better be prepared than to have it happen in the first place. Okay, something related to operations and HSE as well is actually the floor plan layout. So in terms of HSE, yes, it's necessary to find the assembly point, the exit door, where the fire extinguishers are, and so on. But in terms of operations, it's useful to see what you need to have in your location. If you're a location-based business, so in this case, it was a simple office where this diagram shows where you can exit from the back or the front, where the fire extinguishers are, and so on. But in certain cases, like if you're applying for halal, the halal permit or license requires a floor plan of your kitchen or of your restaurant. If you're applying for private institution, then the building or the room requires a floor plan to show where the classes are, where the library is, where the kitchen is, and so on. I remember if it's a childcare or a private institution like a kindergarten, then it requires not just the room, not just the building, but the whole the whole area, including the parking lot where people exit or enter. So a bit more detail depending on the requirements. And of course, if you're building a house, this is absolutely necessary, but that will require a more detailed and more certified floor plan. So that you can talk to with architects. But for most other application for halal permits or private institutions or even the health and establishment act, health and beauty establishments, you don't actually need a detailed plan, like an architectural plan. A simple plan like this is sufficient. But of course, rules may change, so just check with the proper authorities if they require any details. So again, floor plan layout is useful and maybe even in some cases necessary. Okay, just pausing for a while and just checking if there's any questions. So just checking. No. Okay. So again, a reminder while I'm sharing, you can actually ask any questions in the chat if you have any questions. Okay, so let's move on. So strategic planning and action plan. So this is taken a bit from our another workshop we haven't done in a while. Is our visioning workshop. Action planning, strategic and action planning. So this is a simple, simplified process of planning out what you need to do. So part of business, part of any event is actually planning it, but you also need to have step-by-step actions you need to take in order to make it happen. So here's a simple outline. So first, you need to define your goal, list the tasks that you require to accomplish that goal, identify the critical tasks. So this is almost similar like the previous one, but specifically this is to identify which task needs to be done first. So example, like the example of nasi katok, you can't cook if you don't buy first. You can't use the location if you don't rent out first. So what are the critical tasks that has to be completed before other tasks needs to be taken? And then assign tasks. So you need to identify who needs to take up that task, who is responsible for those specific tasks. So for most small medium enterprises, it's usually they themselves. But in some cases, if you do this planning for yourself, you might realize that you can outsource it to someone else, especially if you don't have the time. And then finally, you might want to assess and improve on your action plan, especially if it's a repeating process, repeating event, repeating flow. Then you might need to identify what needs to be improved. So the action plan is it's not final; it can be improved. Another way of strategic planning and action planning is what's called the VMOSA strategic planning. So here I give the link and the QR code for the VMOSA strategic planning. So it's not that different from what I just described right now, but I'm gonna showcase the process. This again what we've done in our visioning workshop. So VMOSA stands for vision, mission, objectives, and strategies and action. So that's the VMOSA. So the first part, vision, mission, and objectives, is taken from something called theory of change. So we start off with the vision. So similar to the previous list, is the goal. What goal you have in mind. But here it splits the goal into three main parts: the vision, mission, and objectives, or the outcomes. So vision is what you see, what you want to see in the future, what future that you want to move into. And then mission is what you need to do to accomplish in order to have that vision. So an example, some of you know, I do swimming school. So the vision in my swimming school is to get everyone to swim. That's the vision. I want everyone to swim. But in the case of mission, so I need to conduct classes or talks to get more people to swim or to learn to swim. Similarly, in LiveWIRE, so our vision is to empower entrepreneurs in Brunei. So we want to have a lot of successful entrepreneurs in Brunei. So our mission is what we need to do is we need to conduct workshops, we need to give talks, we need to do activities that help these entrepreneurs become successful. So that's the vision and mission, and of course objectives are the breakdowns of that mission. So in our case, we have in LiveWire, we have the workshops, and then we have different type of workshops. We have the business awards, and we have other activities. Again, all of those activities are in line with our vision. So again, that's the first part, the vision, mission, and objectives, and then the strategies and action. You need to identify. This is where you list down the task that you need to do in order to achieve your goal. So in this simple diagram, not so simple, called the activity or the action plan. Some of you might have seen a Gantt chart. That's a more complicated, more detailed plan, but this is the simplified version. So on the left, you see what are the things that you need to do, and usually this is in the linear process. So what you need to do first. So from again, this is the main idea is to start a business. The goal is to start a business. So what are the things that you need to do in order to start a business? You plan, you register, get funding, hire people, rent a place, buy equipment, buy the stocks, operate in terms of operate the business in terms of marketing and production and so on. And Then on the top right, on the top until the right, you'll see the duration, the time. It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months. So in this case, it's up to 12, so it's obviously in months. So depending on the activity, the event, then it can be done in a month. Certain activities can be done in a month, but they need to be completed first. So in this case, the planning, registration, and funding needs to be completed first before you can move on to the next part, which is the hiring, purchasing items, and renting the place, and stocks purchase. And you have to buy this stocks purchase first before you can operate the business. So you can see that's the linear process, and of course in some cases some of those processes need to be repeated once it's lacking or it's gone, or in this case like hiring. So some people quit, so you need to hire some more, or items or equipments break down, so you need to buy some more. So so you need to plan for that as well. So that's the activity plan. Another way of identifying your resources. Okay, again, that was the plan. That was the action plan in terms of timeline. But here is an action plan in terms of the resources that you require. So I didn't specify here. But the action steps are the same steps that you had previously, but you have to identify for each of those tasks who are the persons responsible, who needs to do this, who needs to complete it. One person can do one or more jobs, but again, if you want to lighten the burden, you can share it with other people. Date to be completed, the deadline. So again, similar to the previous diagram, you need to finish it in month 1, for example. Resources require, what needs to be done. So one example is register the business. So then you need to get the details of the owners, so that you can register the business. You need the money to register for the business. Potential barriers or resistance, possible issues. So in terms of food business, in general, is registration and license process might take some time. But if it's like a school registration, it would take a longer time. Depends on, again, the rules and regulation. So in this case, the example is time. The barriers is time. The barrier for, let's say, nasi katok would be competition. Or if it's a new product, then there's resistance of people trying, wanting to try or buy the product. And finally, on the final column is collaborators. So with whatever you need to be done, sometimes if you cannot do it yourself, or you cannot do it as effectively as you would like, then you can get someone else to help out with you, to help you out. Either you outsource it, or you get assistance, or there's another department that is involved in your activities. Okay, so these are the resources in your action plan. So just going back, so the basically VMOSA, so vision, mission, and objectives. What are the main goals? The strategies and action, what you need to do, and what are the resources that you need to have or to acquire before you can achieve it. Okay, so that's on the action planning, strategic and action planning. Just checking on chat if anyone has any questions. Okay, nope. Okay. So again, if anyone has any questions, just ask. So next. Okay, I think this is almost the final part. So we're looking now at operations in the business model canvas. So we also have a workshop on business model canvas. It's similar to business planning, but more simplified. So most people don't realize there are operational aspects in the business model canvas. What you need to do in order to make the business a success, simplified version. So for those who are not familiar, okay, so business model canvas, similar to business plan, but business plan is a whole document. Business model canvas is one canvas, one page document that showcases, that highlights, that presents the business, how the business runs. So there's a whole lot of modules inside the business model canvas, but we're just gonna focus on the main three that's in relations with the business model canvas. So specifically, it's the key activities, key resources, and key partners. If you see, it's something similar with the strategic action planning. So the action that you need to do, the resources that you need to have, and the key partners, the collaborators. So the business model canvas, let's look at the key activities. So again, key activities in general, the simplest one is actually just the processes. So what are the activities that you need to create that product or service? In this case, value proposition. So how do you need, what do you need to do in order to achieve what you want to achieve? So it involves the marketing as well, the customer relationships, the sales, and so on. So the simplest key activity is actually just the process flow. So just a reminder on the process flow. So again, production flow, what you need to do. So again, for nasi katok, buy, prepare, cook, and then sell. So simple, the key activities. Next, you need to identify the key resources. So in business planning, we also cover this, but in there we are a bit more in depth. But we can see again, based on the action, what are the resources that you require. So we'll look into the type of resources can either be physical, intellectual, human, or financial. So what you need to do, sorry, not, the previous key activities is what you need to do. Key resources is what you need to have in order to achieve your success. So looking at the process flow, if you remember, you buy, you prepare, and you sell. So buying what you need to buy, the raw ingredients, and then you need the people who needs to buy, who needs to purchase. And in the food preparation, you need the equipments. You need to have the equipment to cook. You need the humans, the cook, to actually cook, to prepare the food. And in terms of sales, that's the marketing part. You need to have IG, or FB account. WhatsApp for business maybe, and maybe physically you need a shop front, a stall maybe even, or just simple camp. And because you're doing a lot of social media marketing, maybe you need a mobile phone. So again, based on your processes, your key activities, what are the resources that you require? So these are actually interrelated. And then finally, the key partners. So the key partners are usually who you need to help you out with. So again, the collaborators. That's another word for it. So key partners. So why you need to partner is sometimes to make it cheaper, to reduce your risks, or if you don't have resources, maybe get another organization or another person's resources. So based on that, again, based on the processes, again, it's so related with the key activities, with the processes. That's why I spent a lot of time on the process initially. So in terms of stocks, again, buy, cook, and sell. So in terms of buying, who are your partners? Who do you work with? So usually in terms of buying, it's your suppliers. Your suppliers are your partners. Okay? They help you out. If without any suppliers, you can't really buy, you can't really sell. So either the equipments or the raw materials. And then in terms of food preparation, sorry, this is I think this is not edited. I think okay, sorry, this is from the yeah, okay, sorry. So this should be a key resource. I think I did not edit that. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so I thought I did, or I saved the wrong file. So the supplies in terms of food preparation, sometimes, okay, just on top of my head, so food preparation, it could be your partnering with another food supplier. So on top of my head, I can remember some caterers, they can't prepare everything by themselves. So maybe drinks, they hire another company. They subcon, okay? Subcontractor to with another company. Maybe the kueh, the cakes, they can be another company. So you can outsource it with someone else, or you can partner up with your neighbors. Or again, getting more resources lah, through partnership. And then in terms of sales, you can collaborate with again your customers or even your competitors. You can collaborate with other companies to distribute flyers or cross marketing with other accounts. Apologies for the slide. I thought I changed the slides already. Okay. Okay. Finally, resources. Okay. So we're finishing up. Okay, relatively quickly. I think main reason is we don't have any questions. So just double checking. So if anyone have any questions, just ask. Okay, I'll answer as soon as I can. Okay, so we're ending the slide soon. So in general, resources are what can you learn? Where can you learn it? So as I shared, these are just conceptual sharing of the contents, but the operations, the main part I shared was from the business plan series. This is where we teach about how to write a business plan. Usually that's useful for investors or bankers, but there's a huge chunk there on operations, on what you need to do in order to make your business a success. Another one is our visioning workshop. That's the VMOSA, the vision, mission, objectives, and strategies and action. So uh, what are the vision that you have and what you need to do in order to achieve that vision. And then of course we have our master classes. So as mentioned, business model canvas. Similarly, there's also lean canvas. And in terms of the vision and the action that you need to take is under impact and measurement management. So those are our resources. Of course, you can easily Google anywhere else. Okay, the QR code here I'm sharing is just the link to our website, so you can find out more on our programs, and you can follow our IG as well for any updated workshops. So I'm just gonna pause here for a while with the Q&A if anyone has any questions. Okay, no one has any questions. Okay, I guess we can easily I think trim this part out if anyone doesn't have any questions. So I'm just gonna proceed with sharing more about LiveWire. Okay. I think so if you're not familiar with LiveWire, again you can check our other streams previously for more information as well. So if you aren't aware, we have several programs that helps on developing entrepreneurs, whether it's through workshops or through events. And then we have master classes. So several topics. We have several master classes on several topics that helps on improving entrepreneurship. So here are a few of our master classes from the foundational topics to the market research to finance to human resources and other topics as well. And then this is one of the events that we do, LiveWire Hackathon, but usually this is only done once a year, and the focus is usually higher institutions. So if you are in any high institutions, maybe next year, keep an eye out for this event. So if you are interested to have your business idea become reality, so you can join this as well. Then business plan series, this is where we teach business plan writing. So as mentioned, operations in general it's actually interrelated, but when I talk about it in the business plan series, it's just like 1/4 of it. Then vision workshop, as mentioned, from the vision, mission, objectives, and action planning. Then business awards, this is our competition. This is ongoing right now. As of date, right now this is September. So we started early in the year. We launched, and then we're going through the business plan submission process, and then after that, there's the pitching and the prize presentation ceremony. So if you want to join, then you probably can join next year. So we usually have the high institution category, and then there's the open category for existing businesses. Okay, showcasing here is the cash flow. Okay, so this is very important in managing your cash flow. So LiveWire actually has helped create this app for entrepreneurs in Brunei so that you can easily track your finances. You can also use this for personal purposes. So if you want to download and use the app, you can get it from Google Play and App Store. So I think there's a QR code. Yeah, I'm just gonna pause here. We'll probably share the links in the description later. Okay, and if you want to find out more about our programs and maybe if you want to learn more about our alumni, people who have succeeded from LiveWire, you can check out this ebook. I think published this last year. We highlighted a few alumni who have succeeded so far. And finally, if you want to find out more, again, I'm just showcasing the QR code for the website, which can also lead to our social media. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end it almost here. So the next content. So today we've covered on operations, process flow, and action plan. Of course, it was supposed to be in September. Now it's September, so we're gonna try to catch up. The next one is on organizations and managing teams. And then probably not long after that is on the financial parts of business plan. So well, not just business plan, financial part in business planning and managing the actual business. Okay, so that might be coming soon. Okay, so basically that's it. So if anyone has any questions, please don't be scared to ask. Okay, so just waiting. Okay. Usually I think there's a delay in either the video or the chat. So I'm gonna wait at least 1 minute. So if no one asks a question in the next 1 minute, I will end the streamer. Hmm. Yes, chicken. No questions. Hmm. I think while waiting for any questions, I might as well share. I think yeah, we have an upcoming as of date. We have a few upcoming events. One is our Adopt a Beach, part of our CSR kinda, where we're gonna organize beach cleanup. So if you manage to register, well done. But if you haven't, you can probably just crash the event. Uh, the more the merrier. uh, and we also have a mentoring clinic with launching a few other projects that's coming at the end of the month. So just keep an eye out on the news, I guess, because I think we've already closed on that. But in the future, we'll have more of those mentoring events. So again, that maybe if you haven't managed to join this one, you can join the next one. Okay, so doesn't seem like anyone has any questions. Okay, so if nothing else, okay, I'm just gonna close the stream now. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll post this video soon. Okay, bye.